It's still parenting today, and we're diving right into it. Value system, value-based parenting. If you're wondering, parents out there must have done this. Your parents should have done this for you. Maybe you didn't know or you didn't see it when it was happening. But it's when they were laying down the law. In this family, we don't steal. In this family, we tell the truth. In this family, this is a no-no. So your parents were doing those things, but beyond words, how can parents ensure that they give their children the right values?
Well, it's a no-brainer. It's as simple as that. You took us, memory back down memory lane.
Yeah.
Remember the son of whom you are. Remember in this house we don't do this, we don't do that. Yeah, but they were not deliberate, they were not systemic, and it was simply based on instructions.
Okay.
So value-based parenting, beyond trying to raise your children based on certain values and principles that you think your family needs to be known for. What has changed now is that there's a lot of role modeling, there's a lot of demonstration beyond just instruction.
Okay.
And then you need to involve the children now. In other words, you are letting them know, how do you want us? You could especially for those who do morning devotions or evening devotions or whatever it is, family meetings, you need to raise these issues and say, how do you want us to be known? If when they mention the Adekules, what do you want people to know?
Mm-hmm.
When they mention the Okonkwas and the Okafos, the Okekes, the Sanusis, what do you want people to identify? What should resonate when these names are mentioned in public? When they see you and say, oh, that's Chief Adekule's son, they literally, it's taken for granted that this girl, she's respectful, she has a sense of godliness and very spiritual. And she tells the truth because that is what her father or her mom, was known for or is known for. But, I always say this, when values are not tested, they're actually not values.
Okay.
Untested values are no values at all. So, when you are trying to raise your children based on certain values, you need to create the opportunity for those values to be tested.
Deliberately? As a parent?
You, as the parent, you know what you're doing, but your kids may not really know what you're doing. For instance, if you are trying to raise your children based on honesty, you want them to be honest, and you guys have agreed that in this house, honesty, you die telling the truth.
Okay.
Tell the truth even if it means dying. Okay. First of all, you model that value, and then you test them. It begins with the pot of soup in
the kitchen.
So you can keep those pieces of meat and fish carelessly in the in the kitchen, and bait them and see who is actually living based on that values. And then there are certain values that you cannot reinforce at home, which is why I usually encourage the boarding school system. Or another child, and your child was there, and your child happens to be the bystander who needs to break the ties in terms of this is what actually happened. And you've taught your child to speak up, that look, speaking up is part of what we are known for. Speaking the truth also is what we're known for, and speaking truth to power. And that is an opportunity to demonstrate our values. And here you are, your child suddenly chickens out because somebody threatened your child. And your child comes and says, Daddy, the reason that I didn't say the truth is because they said they are going to beat me up. And say, and what have we been teaching you? That you should not be afraid, even in the face of danger. Speak the truth, and the truth will set you free. So that child has just falling short as far as that value is concerned. But you see, it was because your child was outside of the house, and that opportunity presented itself, and he or she either failed or demonstrated the values.
Okay. Before we go into testing the values, because I appreciate the importance of actually testing these values once you've laid them down. What is the role of the child seeing the parents actually exhibit these values? For example, speaking truth to power.
Yeah.
So if there's not been any scenario where daddy spoke truth to power in front of the child, does that impact how the child, appreciates that value?
Definitely. It will remain an abstraction. It will remain just an instruction until you are able to I remember my first daughter used to accompany me to rallies.
Political rallies?
Yeah?
Political rallies?
No.
Okay.
I'm still very active in the gender justice community.
Okay.
And
advocacy rallies.
Exactly, advocacy rallies. I remember when there was this girl who was killed in Edo State, who was raped and murdered in Edo State. And we had to organize a work to speak up against her.
I think I remember that.
Yes.
It went viral.
Exactly. I was part of the organizers of that rally. And I remember my first girl wanted to go with me. And it was after that rally. She heard so many things and she said, Daddy, why are first ladies not saying something about these issues? I said, well, you can take that up and go and ask them. And so she decided that when she grows up, she's going to do a documentary interviewing first ladies and get them to commit to fighting rape and other violence,
gender-based
women.
violence. Yeah.
So I haven't just spoken. In fact, I hardly discussed that at home. But she saw me that day. We were speaking up. The cameras were out there, and I was shown on TV during the news in the evening of that day. So that for me was showing it. It was demonstrating how to speak up against issues that you're passionate about, and especially when it's against when it has to do with abuse of people's rights. And it may also not just be that kind of example. It could be in your office. It could be in your office. Something is wrong and you spoke about it. And you go home and you told your children, look, this happened in the office today and this is what I said. Those are examples where you may want to. It could also be in your article, your opinions that you share in the public domain. But one example that I know that we all fall short, well, I won't use the word we all fall short, but
most people,
it's in certain examples that has to do with our faith. It's easy to tell children to pray. It's easy to tell children to read their Bible. It's easy to tell your children to trust God and all of that. But you see, the reason many of us are not able to pass down the faith that we profess is because when it comes to the demonstration, a lot of parents fail. Because beyond the money division, which in some instances could just be routine, many of us don't have testimonies that our children can hang on to and say, wow, there's God. And I'm saying this from experiences that I've been privy to. When children are not allowed to experience what we profess by way of faith, it becomes an abstraction. Even God becomes an abstraction. You know what I mean? So that's one area. But generally, value-based parenting requires, first of all, you living the life. Because come to think of it, children listen with their eyes. They hear with their eyes.
They do what they see.
Rather
than what they hear.
What you do will always be louder than what you're saying.
Yeah.
So that is why we need to be deliberate and intentional. If you're trying to get them to subscribe to certain values, you live their values first. You want them to be financially intelligent. Demonstrate financial intelligence, and that's why a broke parent will have a hard time
trying to inspire their children in that regard.
Pun intended, actually. So you need to demonstrate first. You want your children to read. How many times have they seen you, in the study reading? And then when you share ideas with them, do you reference the books that one of the ways I got my children to read was I always reference materials that I've gone through, whether they are books, whether they are videos, and they want to read it, they want to look at it and confirm some of the things I told them. And sometimes I had to point them to that book and deliberately get them to read it, so they can experience what I've experienced and own that experience.
Okay.
So that's important. And then, Rex, getting them to participate in deliberating those values. You know what I mean? Now, you want, let's say, you want us to love one another. And that's a value you think about. Okay, you want compassion to be part of our values. Can you table this and have the children share their own opinion?
So I just thought about something, because being a parent is hard. Everything you've said now is easier said than done. So imagine you're a parent who has said, you know what, one of your values is being respectful, is being, courtesy and all of that. And driving in Lagos can bring out the worst in you. You're with your kids and somebody maybe cuts you off or something, you lose your temper and you start to rain insults on them. The children are observing. How does scenarios like this affect the values that you're trying to set?
You see, the problem with value-based parenting is, or rather, I won't say the problem. The real deal about it is that you need to be conscious and intentional. You need to know what you're passing down. I've been caught in that scenario a couple of times, and because my kids were in the car, I paid the price. I had to pay. I remember a date. In fact, that day
They took you up on it.
No, they were just looking at me. So there was no. It was my
is
first,
this daddy?
Yes. So no, I didn't fall short.
Okay.
What I did was I took the fall.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was caught by Lasma guys.
Okay.
I was going. Interestingly, I was going for a speaking engagement that day.
Oh wow.
Yes, and I took them along with me, deliberately, so that they can be watching and hear so that what we do at home. I share them sometimes when I'm speaking. Rex, somehow I didn't know we were talking, and I beat the traffic.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, that happens.
And the last mile guy stops me, and I said, "Yeah, I beat the traffic." I knew with these kids in the car, dude, there's nothing. I said, "Please forgive me, sir." The guy looked at me and said, "Like your children with this?" I said, "Yes." So he could say, "Find us something, just find us something." And I gave him. Yes.
Yeah.
And I did that. It was not, but I pleaded. He called his colleague and said he spoke Yoruba to the guy that maybe I suspected he was saying, this guy has beaten the traffic, but he's sorry. And
let's just let him go.
Yeah. So in a bit just do Saturday for us.
Exactly.
Exactly. So I told my kids, I said, this is not a bribe. He's asking me to just give him a tip. So I gave him a tip, and they understood. So they were asking, Daddy, did you bribe the man? I said, no, I did not bribe him. You could see that he left me off the hook.
Already, yes.
Another time, this I think, I don't know what happened. Maybe I took a wrong turn or something, and I was caught. Dude, I paid 20,000 that day. Yeah, and the guy was not even interested in negotiating anything.
Yeah.
I said, please, I want to pay the fine, but make it easy for me to pay the fine. And he said, okay. I said, I need to take my kids back home after this meeting. And I went to Shodi, Low Grammar, went to the bank, paid the money. I took that for a reason, because one silly slip could bring down the house of values you've been trying to build over the years.
True.
And I knew that this thing had its own place. So I'm conscious about that. And I think that's a lesson for everybody. Unless you want us to continue to live in a valueless environment and society where anything goes. But if we must uphold these values that we want our children to pass, to not just imbibe, but pass down to other their own children and even children around them within their circle of influence, we need to be ready to, one, be intentional, get them on board, and then pay the price that has to be paid for it. There's a story I always share. You know, there was this kid who the mom had been teaching her about the bed undivided.
Okay.
No premarital sex and all of that. and they attended the wedding of one of her cousins who was pregnant. Yes. The wedding took place in the Catholic church, and they went for the reception. The mom, she accompanied the mom, and they were all well dressed and dancing, and the mother was spraying the cousin. And she said, mommy, Auntie so and so is pregnant. But you said we should not, we should avoid things like this. He said, my friend, shut up. When we get to, we'll discuss.
Yeah.
That's conflicting vibes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't subscribe to this, if this is what you've been teaching us, so why are you here?
Why are you here? Why are you celebrating?
Why are you celebrating? You know. So she has some explanations to make, and I hope she.
It's a very tricky situation. So as we close, quickly, for parents who haven't, deliberately set down any values, how should they go about it? Is it too late? When is it late to set? And if you want to do it now, what would you advise them to do?
Well, a starting point will be to vet and review. I like the word you use, who have not deliberately, because whether you know it or not, you've passed down something. So it's better you know what you're passing down. Do you get? So do like auditing, rather. I think that's the right word. Audit your lifestyle as a family, as a father, as a mother. Ask them, what have we been doing that you don't like? What have we been doing that you think we should continue doing? What should we quit doing, and what should we do more of? And what can we start doing? And then when you hear from them, you start to build this around values. You can know that these children really want presence. They want you to be to create an emotionally rewarding environment as a parent. They want honesty. So once they share those things with you,
all right. Thank you so much. We've been discussing value-based parenting. I hope this has helped you in one way, shape, or form. If you've never really been deliberate about setting values for your children, we need it as a society. We need it because a lot of the things that we're seeing going left and going wrong in society is because of wrong value systems. Unfortunately, as a country, I don't really know what our value systems are that the country is trying to uphold. But, we have the law and we have things that are decent. So just try and make sure your kids understand this. Thank you very much to Uncle Kingsley, who always drops gems on the show.